I'm only a lassie, and I've had so little schooling they wouldn't accept the likes of me. Those were the thoughts of a young Scots girl nearly 100 years ago. Her name was Mary Slessor.
Greetings, all you very rare individuals. Welcome to another Afro-Scot podcast. This is episode 21, and we're going to talk about why Africa is great. Specifically, we're going to talk about one of the greatest Scottish women to ever live, Missionary Mary Slessor. Now, who's Mary Slessor? Well, she's famed for stopping the killing of twins in Calabar, and she's also somebody who felt as if God had given her this purpose to spread the gospel in Calabar. She was inspired by David Livingstone, and she left her poor upbringing, poor environment in Dundee to move all the way to Africa, which was at the time coined the Dark Continent, to spread the gospel and to do missionary work. And what is incredibly impressive about Mary Slessor is her courage and her resilience. And I believe that also came from her childhood. She didn't really grow up in the best conditions. Her father was a drunk, and she had to be the breadwinner. She literally had to work day and night every single day just to provide for the family, or they were done. And with all that pressure on top of her, and also helping out with work in church and, dealing with thugs in the streets, all of this, I believe, built in her the scar tissue to be able to go all the way to Africa and Calabar and to really spread the gospel and do our work, our missions work, our life mission. The interesting thing is that when she finally got to Africa, she didn't really spend time around the missionaries who were living in the nice, houses away from all the tribespeople. She actually went further to places that not even men had been to. When she wanted to move to these places, people were saying that it was dangerous and that, you could die and you never know what's going to happen. But she kept on moving forward because she believed that she was on a personal mission. So she had a life mission and she had to get it done as quickly as possible. And it's a very inspiring story of a woman who, though she didn't come from the best background, she didn't use that as an excuse to stop her. She didn't have the victim mentality. And she also had a great character as well. Most missionaries, when they go over to these countries, they want the people there to conform to their own taste. But Mary Slessor, she did the opposite. She became them. She wore their clothes, ate their food, slept in the mud huts, as they would call it. And she even spoke the language fluently. And her courage and toughness really won the respect of many of the tribe leaders and people around the area. There was a story about one time a woman was caught giving food to a man who wasn't her husband, and for punishment, a dancer would have to pour boiling hot oil on top of her stomach while the lady was tied. And when Mary Slessor heard the loud rumbling and she saw that the boiling hot oil, which was in a spoon, was coming close, she ran quickly to stop him. And she looked the man right in the eyes. And even though the man kept coming closer and closer with the boiling hot oil, she didn't flinch. Obviously going back to when she was dealing with thugs in Dundee. And eventually the tribe dancer just left. And everybody was shocked because they had never seen it before. How can this woman, this red-haired, short woman, short Scottish woman, have that much courage to be able to do something like that? And from that day on, her respect went up further and further. Soon enough, she was becoming a magistrate, and she helped settle disputes And she also stopped a lot of the witchcraft that was going on, that a lot of the Calabar people were doing, like cannibalism and stuff like that. She stopped the witchcraft, and she introduced God, the gospel, Jesus Christ, which really helped change a lot of things. She introduced education for the women, and it really improved the lives of many of them there. And also, she also stopped infanticide, the killing of twins, as twins at the time was seen as a bad omen. And she would adopt a lot of these twins and keep them in her house. And a lot of them grew up to be well educated and great people for society. And this is all from a woman who didn't come from the best background, didn't have the best education, didn't have the best resumes. In our home and living situation wasn't something to write home about. And even at some point, her whole family was gone. She was alone, but she kept pressing on. And she lived to the age of 66. At that age, not many people live to that age, especially somebody of her class. But she lived a very long life and spent the majority of her life in Africa, really doing the right work. In my opinion, she's the definition of an Afro-Scot, a true Afro-Scot, somebody who was able to blend two identities, a Scottish accent and with the African lifestyle together to become one and to become whole. That's who Mary Slessor is, and she's a great inspiration. Even Queen Elizabeth II visited Nigeria in 1956, and she paid homage to Mary Slessor. She's an inspiration to everyone here as well who's listening to this podcast, because by understanding our African side, our Scottish side, and the great African and Scottish people who have done great things in this world, we'll be able to better accept our African identity.